you all to the Science channel. Today we are going to discuss about the electromagnetism and about various principles of physics related with it. Join with us. As I told you in our previous video about magnetism, there is a close relationship in between electricity and magnetism. You can see here, Danish scientist Hans Christian Ørsted was the first to observe this phenomena. He said, when a current passes through a conductor, a magnetic field created around the conductor or the vicinity of conductor, and it can be observed by keeping a compass near the conductor. He noticed further that the needle of the compass is deflected. So, the magnetic field is created around the current carrying conductor. Let's engage into activity to observe invention of Ørsted. Here, you will need a compass, a straight copper wire placed in between AB, few batteries, connecting wires and switch. First, set up the circuit as shown in the screen and place the compass on the table with its indicator along the north-south direction with the AB copper wire above the compass. Close the switch and allow current to pass through AB. When current passing through the AB mean here copper wire, you can see the needle of the compass show a deflection in this way. When placing the compass above the wire and allow current to pass in the direction of BA, changing the terminals of the batteries, you will be able to observe that the compass indicator deflects in the opposite direction. The indicator deflects only when it is subjected to the influence of magnetic effect. That is, in the presence of magnetic field. This activity would show you that a magnetic field is created when a current flows through a conductor. It will be clear to you from the above activity that the direction of magnetic field in the vicinity of current carrying conductor depends on the direction of the current flow. Let's investigate about two rules that could be used to find the direction of the magnetic field due to current carrying conductor. There are two rules as shown here, Maxwell's corkscrew rule and Fleming's right-hand grip rule. Let's discuss about Maxwell's corkscrew rule first. A corkscrew is an instrument used to open bottles or containers with cork lids. Normal screws show the same behavior as corkscrew. As the James Clerk Maxwell said, when a corkscrew is rotated in such a way that its tip moves in the direction of current flow, then the magnetic field line produced by the current are in the direction of rotation of the corkscrew. I highlighted here the two directions to catch it easily, and the other one is Fleming's right-hand grip rule. John Ambrose Fleming invented that if the conductor is held with the right hand in such a way that the thumb is directed in the direction of current flow and the direction of other four fingers around the conductor indicates the direction of magnetic field. You can see in the left side here, the tip of the corkscrew is rotating and it shows the direction of magnetic field, and the motion of the screw nail shows the direction of current flow as Maxwell said. And the other side, when a conductor is held with the right hand, in that way, the thumb or the first finger of right hand directed into the current flow and the other four fingers into the direction of magnetic field line. Now it's clear to you the two rules to identify the direction of magnetic field due to a current carrying conductor as Maxwell corkscrew rule and Fleming's right hand grip rule. Let's learn here how the direction of magnetic field around a conductor is marked in a diagram. We use dot and cross marks for that. Here magnetic field is created into anti-clockwise direction. So a dot inside the circle is used to indicate a magnetic field coming out of the page, and a cross inside a circle is used to indicate a magnetic field going into the page. John Ambrose Fleming expressed another rule by his further experiment. When a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, there is a force act on a current carrying conductor. He found the direction of that force and introduced it as: when the thumb, index finger and the middle finger of the left hand are oriented perpendicular to each other, that the middle finger points into the direction of current flow and the index finger is pointed into the direction of magnetic field and the thumb is pointed in the direction of force acting on the conductor. That is Fleming's left hand rule. The thumb, index finger and the middle finger of left hand perpendicular to each other. Middle finger points into direction of current flow. Index finger is pointed into the direction of magnetic field and the thumb is pointed into the direction of the force on the conductor. There are two examples here. Can you find the direction of the force acting on the conductor? In the first one, when we place the index finger into the direction of magnetic field line as north into south direction, the current flows out of the page here. Because dot mark is there, it shows that the current flows into out of the page. So the middle finger pointed out of the page and the thumb shows the direction of force here. Here the upward force acting on the conductor according to the Fleming's left hand rule. In the same way, in the second example, you can use the Fleming's left hand rule also. When we place the index finger into the direction of magnetic field line, as in the previous one, north into south direction, then here cross mark represented the current direction of the current flow into the page. Then you can keep the third finger or the middle finger into the page perpendicular to index finger, and thumb shows the downward force acting on the conductor. In this way you can use the Fleming's left hand rule to find the direction of force acting on the conductor placed in a magnetic field. Let's now engage into another activity to observe the force act on a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field. Here you will need two magnets, two brass rods, piece of cardboard, connecting wires and a carbon rod. When the current flows in the circuit, the current passes through the brass rod and reach the carbon rod and passing through it also. When the current flows at the carbon rod, it moves along the brass rod away from the magnet and reach to the cardboard piece. The direction of the force acting on the conductor can be found using Fleming's left hand rule. As shown in the screen, you can see here clearly, thumb represents the force, index finger magnetic field and the middle finger for the current flow. You will observe that the motion of the conductor takes place in a direction perpendicular to both directions of magnetic field and direction of current flow. Here, the same activity we discussed earlier, but changing the cell terminals to change the direction of current flow. Now, the current flows in opposite direction, then the conductor moves along the brass rod as earlier, but the direction is different. It's directed towards the magnet or away from the cardboard piece. It's clear now. The direction of the force is indicated by the direction of the motion of the conductor. And also, after change in the top bottom poles of the magnet or change in the position of the north pole and south pole of the magnet, you will be observed that the direction of the motion of the conductor is also vary as in the above steps. The magnitude of the resulting force or electromotive force occurred in a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field depends on following these three factors. The first one is the magnitude of the current through the conductor. Second one is the length of the conductor. And the third one is the strength of the magnetic field. The force increases as the above three factors are increased and it decreases when the above three factors are decreased. That is, the force is directly proportional to the above three factors. The electromotive force directly proportional to the magnitude of the current, the length of the conductor, and the strength of the magnetic field. Let's see the applications of electromagnetism. It's very useful phenomenon in our daily lives. Electric motors, loudspeakers, galvanometers, voltmeters and ammeters are some of the instruments constructed based on this phenomena. Then we mostly use loudspeakers and motors. I'm going to discuss further about the action of loudspeaker. Have you ever thought about the way of generating sound in a loudspeaker? Let's observe the cross-section of loudspeaker. The main components of a loudspeaker are light-weighted cardboard cone, a conducting coil and a ring magnet. There's a coil, as I told you earlier, and the coil freely moves forward and backward in the place between the poles of the magnet. When a time-varying current flows through the coil, the force exerted on the conductor by the magnet vibrates the coil forward and backward. That's because of the variation of the current. The cone connected to the coil is also vibrates accordingly. Then this vibration generates sound wave, that is the action of loudspeaker generating sound using the principle electromagnetism. There are so many applications of direct current motor or DC motor as shown in the screen. We use DC motors for electric train, hybrid car, electric car and also toy motor cars. We use direct current motors. Now we are going to construct a DC motor at home. Are you ready? You will need a dry cell, insulated copper wires, 2 needles with large holes, some clay, sellotape, a knife for cutting wires, and a small ring magnet. First, we should construct the magnetic coil. To do that, first we have to wrap about 30 windings of the copper wire around a cylindrical object. For that, you can use somewhat large pen or a PVC tube. Wind the free ends of the wire several times around the coil to prevent it from unwinding. Then you can get a coil as shown in figure 1. We can use the knife to remove the insulation of the wire as shown in figure 2. Removal of the insulation should only be done in about half of the wire and on the same side at each end. That is special. Next, pass the two ends through the needle holes and mount the coil on the needles horizontally as shown in figure 3. In figure 4 shows you as fixing the needles on the terminal of the dry cell using sellotape. We can use clay to fix the dry cell rigidly. as shown in figure 5. Finally, attach the circular magnet on the cell. Then you will be able to observe the copper wire is rotating. If it does not rotate, it is needed to give a slight push with your hand. Then it will start rotating. Here, the magnetic field exerts a force on the conductor when a current flows through it. Two forces act on the coil in two opposite directions, a couple of forces, and it causes the coil to rotate as shown in the figure. Now you can make a simple DC motor at home, and it's time to identify the main parts of DC motor. Here's the appearance of direct current motor, and let's identify the main parts of it. Parts of DC motor are magnetic poles, armature and commutator. A magnetic field is required to exert a force on a coil when a current flows through the coil. We studied about that force earlier under the Fleming left-hand rule. In normal DC motors, this magnetic field is obtained by permanent magnet arranged around an armature. Then what is armature? In normal DC motors, there is a coil much like the coil you used in previous activity. But the coil of the DC motor must be strong enough to withstand an external load. Therefore, the coil is wrapped around a steel or iron core. This coil together with the core is known as armature. The function of the armature is to create rotation when a current is passing through it. The rotating part of the DC motor is armature. Then what is commutator? In the motor you constructed, the insulation was removed only on one side of the wire near the end. Because the coil would rotate in two opposite directions if the insulation is completely removed. Therefore, a more suitable way for the current to flow would be to let the current flow in one direction during half of the rotation cycle and to let the current to flow in the opposite direction in the next half cycle. A commutator is used to alternate the direction of current flow in this manner. Then, the commutator consists of two metallic split rings and two parts known as brushes. The brushes are adjusted to the split rings as shown in the figure. The two ends of the coil are connected to the two split rings and they rotate with the armature. The two brushes maintain contact with the split rings without rotating themselves. These two brushes are connected to the external circuit that provides the current to the motor. It may be a dry cell or another type of energy giving sources. Now you have a clear idea about the parts of the DC motor and function of them. This figure shows the appearance of a motor with all of the above components assembled together. For the ease of understanding of the operation of the coil of the motor is shown here by a single loop. This coil is placed in between two magnetic poles as South Pole and North Pole. And the coil is connected to the split rings while the brushes are connected to the battery. Let's see how the DC motor works. When a current is made to flow through the motor, the current enters the split ring through the brush at right hand side door. the side of south pole of the magnet. Again, when a current is made to flow through the motor, the current enters the split ring through the brush at right hand side of the side of south pole of the magnet and flows through the wire loop and reach the split ring at left hand side and passes to the external circuit through the brush at there. The current passes through the loop placed in the magnetic field along the direction as shown in the figure using arrowheads. It's clear to you. The black arrowheads represent the way of the direction of the current flow. Now you have to find the direction of the force acting on both sides of the coil by applying Fleming's left hand rule. You can see that the force on coil at south pole acts downward while that on coil at north pole, that force acts upwards according to the Fleming's left hand rule. Then the armature will rotate clockwise due to the resulting couple of forces. Here it is clear to you when applying Fleming's left hand rule to the both sides of the coil, the force acts at one side of the coil in upward and the other side in downward. Hence the coil starts to rotate in the direction of clockwise as shown in the figure. Then is it able to rotate the DC motor in opposite direction? Yes. If the direction of the current is changed by changing the battery terminals, the directions of the forces also change to the opposite directions. And the direction of rotation of the armature will be in the anti-clockwise direction. That is how the coil rotates in opposite direction by changing the terminals of the battery. I hope you have a clear idea about the operation of DC motor. In the operation of DC motor, the electric energy given to the motor is converted to mechanical energy. Electric energy converted by DC motor as mechanical energy. In this lesson, you got clear knowledge about the electromagnetism and about the rules and principles related with it and the applications of electromagnetism simply and clearly. We will be back with electromagnetic induction on our next video. Subscribe our channel and get notified about the new releases. Thank you.